speaking to that. And not just in terms of qualities, but in terms of things I want to experience. And as I was sitting here and listening to things, listening to the song, a story came to mind. Back when my oldest, Joshua, was 3, and if he's watching, I'm telling a story about you, yes. We lived over in the West Valley, and I was the senior minister at West Valley in the early 90s. And we would go to, Joshua, he was 1 to 3. He was about 2 or 3 years old. And we would go to the zoo on a pretty regular basis. We bought an annual pass, for the family. And we'd go, early in the morning, hang out for an hour and leave. He always got very enamored with the turtles. As you walk over the bridge, there's the turtles that hang out on top of the rocks and so on. So anyway, one summer we went to Asilomar. We were on our way back from Asilomar, driving, because we drove. And we were driving back from Asilomar, and in the back seat, he was sitting riding along, and he just announced to my wife and I at the time, saying, "I'm ready to have a turtle." And he just announced it. When we got home, I got a phone call from Reverend Richard Rogers, who was one of the ministers at Phoenix Unity in the days. He was a young minister at the time. And he said, "Hey, we have this tortoise and he needs a new home." And I looked at Josh and I said, "Josh, would you like a tortoise?" And he said, "Well, sure. And we'll name him Tommy." I said, "Okay." He totally manifested that tortoise. I didn't even know the Rogers family had a tortoise. Wasn't even a thing. I didn't even know that. But clearly he knew. Somebody knew. Living with intention works that way. Setting an intention in our lives that says, this is the way I want to experience my life, tends to bring those things about. John DeMartini says this towards the end of the book. It says, by giving yourself permission to live the fullest and function at the highest, you exemplify what is possible and give permission for others to do the same. Giving yourself permission to live the fullest and function at the highest. Now, children are just the greatest example of this, are they not? There is no pretense, no expectation, no holding back. Everything is out there 100% all the time. And over time, for better or for worse, we start to rein some of that in. We start to establish boundaries and take on limitations for ourselves. Because the messages of the world say, hey, you know what? That way of behavior is not acceptable. Don't be too loud. Don't expect too much. Oh, don't be like that. You'll stand out. Right? The nail that stands up gets hammered down. But we don't have to buy into all that. We need not accept those limitations for ourselves. We get to choose to live in alignment with what we say is true about us, with the things that we value. Loving and caring and prosperity and authenticity. Authenticity being the thing that says, you know what, I'm going to be in alignment with me. I'm going to be all of me all the time. And have the courage to stand up and say, this is who I am. And live this way. To live from a spiritual ground of being. To live from a place that says, you know what, I'm a loving, caring, joy-filled, divine idea within the mind of God right here, right now, and I'm going to act that way. rather than walking in the world in a divisive manner. I'm going to walk in the world seeing it as whole and complete and perfect. Understanding that everybody gets to be human, everybody gets to be unique, including me, and have that be okay. I mean, I could show up here on Sunday morning with purple hair, and you would be okay with that, would you not? Not that I would necessarily do that. Maybe a little bit, maybe just a little. Blue? Okay. Or green. I don't know. So, anyway, you get the idea. I know you would accept me, right? Were I to have the courage to do that. But I get to be authentically me, just like you get to be authentically you, no matter who you are walking through this door. We love and accept everybody who comes in here, and that's okay. In fact, we celebrate it. We celebrate the uniqueness. We want and encourage and support everybody in being their authentic selves. Because to do otherwise would be to deny that divinity within us, that choice we made to incarnate and say, you know what, this is the way I'm going to be. I'm going to enter into this world and figure it out. How am I going to be uniquely me in this world, this life, this day, this moment, this hour, and understand that I get to change direction, and that gets to be okay too. Oops. Ernest Holmes says this: life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Well, it's not just thinking, it's believing. It's those things that we contemplate, those things that we accept. What am I thinking about? And when I look at that, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Does that feel like a blessing or a burden? Mm-hmm. And how I feel about that phrase makes a difference too. You see, if I'm not in necessarily the greatest place in my life, I can look at that and go, how did I create that? But in the same, or say, and in the same breath, I can look at the wonderful things in my life and say, look what I created. It's both. And if what I've done is I've created a little mess in my life, I can use the same tools and clean it up. I can look to my values and say, hmm, what do I need to do here? Maybe it's that gap space that says, oh, is this, this is not just some problem. This is some opportunity. This is some possibility for me in this space that says, how do I get to prove this principle that I say I believe in? This idea that I get to change my thinking and change my life. I get to prove that principle now. And how do I get to go about doing that? So, who is it that you say you are? What are the values that you're holding dear to yourself right now? What's that collection of ideas that says, this is me? I remember back when I was in ministerial school, we created our own personal vision statement for our ministry. And I sat down. I think I've told this story before, once before. Anyway, I sat down in the class and we got to do that. And I had this phrase roll into my head and I wrote it down and I sat there waiting for another one. Nothing. And I kept waiting. Nothing. And I said, no, that can't be it. It can't be that easy. And it was. It was just that simple. And it says to be a beneficial presence. And it was just that simple. And it can be that easy. We get on this spiritual path. Sometimes we have this value. Like, how many people I've talked to about this? The spiritual life, the spiritual journey does not have to be hard. It can be. Some days it feels like we don't want to play, but it can be easy too. It doesn't have to be filled with fear. It can become fearful if I start acting out of alignment with who I authentically am. It can become like that because when I get out of alignment with the truth of my being, with the truth of who I say I am, which is my authentic self, when I get out of alignment with that, there is a response for the universe that says, but wait, you said you were this. And so life will nudge you back into alignment. Because this is who you say you are. This is who I say I am. And so circumstances, the universe, life will conspire on my behalf and bring me back to center. Create circumstances that say, you know what? This is how you say you want to be. And so when things aren't working quite right, the question I get to ask myself is, where am I out of alignment? Ralph Waldo Emerson says this. He says, what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us. So, what is it that lies within you that is pushing this life forward that you say you want to be? That we say we want to experience? What are the images on the wall of consciousness, on the gallery that you have created for yourself that say, this is what life looks like? What are the pictures? How do they feel? What is the background? What is the foreground? What are the colors? And we put all these images up in our consciousness and say, this is what life looks like. And they're all tied to our values of peace and joy and love and harmony, a sense of financial security, loving, joy filled relationships, family as a priority, and on and on and on and on and on. We have this list of values that we create for ourselves, and they have images tied to them as well. And that's how we curate this gallery of pictures, of images of how our life looks. And it's not just how it looks, it's how it feels. Because the images create this feeling for us too. And that's what drives the creative process. All of that rolled together, stir a fire inside of us that says, this is the creative process, this is the life I choose to live, and this is the way it is today. And I celebrate it. And tomorrow it may be a little bit different because I learn and I grow and I change day in, day out. And we get to create it intentionally, consciously, by taking the time to be intentional about the way we approach life. To wake up in the morning and say, take the 5 or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, however long, and say, this is where I'm headed today. And at the end of the day, saying, okay, how did that go? Are there changes? Are there adjustments? What am I grateful for? What am I not so grateful for? And then do the same thing the next day. Because one thing is true, and this is what Ferdinand Folk, this is a quote from the book of the month. The most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. How do we set our spirits on fire? What is it that lights you up? What are the values that really inspire you today? Because those are the things that will really move our lives forward. And only you can answer that for yourself. What are the things that we do, that you do, where time seems to disappear or time stops? I get so excited, sometimes when I get into a writing mode and I'll write and I'll write and I'll write and I'll write, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours will go by and I'm like, I'll stop and say, what happened? Where did it go? And it doesn't matter. Or playing golf. Long time since I played golf. I need to play golf. Or any number of other things that I've done over the years. The human soul on fire is incredible. It's a powerful place to be. Because when we are in that place, when I am in that place, in that space, I am engaged with my authentic self. I know exactly who I am. And there is no doubt, no question in my mind that I am in my right and perfect place, doing my right and perfect thing in that moment. And nothing can stop me. Nothing can get in my way. Nothing will slow me down. It's like the namaste, we're talking about namaste. When I'm in that place and me and you are in that place and you, there is only one of us. That is the place. That is being in my authentic self. When I know that I am absolutely connected to everything. And it's not even something I think about. It's just a way of being. I don't have to put myself there. I just find myself there. Because I'm doing the work. I've done the work. It's a place of total and complete enthusiasm for what it is I'm doing. Michael Beckwith says this. He says, we are not here merely to make a living. We are here to enrich the world. So how do we do that? Some of us may sit in our lives and go, how am I enriching the world? How do I get to do that? Here in my little life. It's not a little life, number one. And number two, we're all connected, right? I enrich the world just by being a better me, being a more improved version of me. Because as I learn and grow, everybody learns and grows. So am I getting up in the morning and going to work to make a living? Or am I getting up in the morning going to work saying, this is what I get to do? This is just one piece of me. What I do for a living is just one part of who I am. It's one little piece of what I do. There's a lot more of me. There's the people I encounter, the lives I touch, the books I read, the phone call I make, or the phone call I answer, the text message I send to somebody at just the right time saying, hey, I was thinking about you. I just want you to know I love you. If I live intentionally saying, I want to be more, I want to love more, I want to live more, I want to express more, I want to be more authentic, I want to be more in alignment with who and what I am. It is that simple. It can be just that simple and easy to enrich the world by touching one life and making a difference in one person today. For one person. And maybe support a 3-year-old in manifesting a tortoise and saying, okay, because that was our response to Joshua at 3, driving down the highway. Okay, Logan. Okay, Joshua. And we just nodded our heads and smiled. And then the phone call came. See, it all makes a difference. And that tortoise is still alive today in the state of Washington, by the way. 31 years later. We get to live this life as we choose. We get to be intentional. We get to be our authentic selves without question, because those are choices we get to make for us. We get to make a difference. We get to be as expansive as we choose, or as quiet as we choose, because we get to choose. So with that, let's talk about our spiritual practice for the week. This week is pretty simple. I have 3 affirmations for everybody, and you can use them as you like. Use one a day, 3 days, recycle them over and over again, or use all 3 every day. But they are these: in this moment and at every twist and turn of my day, I choose to be the authentic expression of me. You get to choose. Today and every day, I am free to be me. It's the second one. And the third one: today, I remember I am more than I'm more than I appear to be. I am the light divine expressing this life. You can even tie them all together. Those are my gift for you this week for your spiritual practice. Use them as you choose. See how they work for you. They're definitely affirmations that I've used for myself over the years. So there you have it. So now it's your turn. Questions, comments, thoughts? Anybody online with questions? Mr. AV person, Stephen? Oh, Jim, yes. Oh,
I was thinking, as you were getting started with the talk, sometimes mind isn't very. I was like, why do I feel that way sometimes? And it's because it puts us in the position of power, and we have to have honest self-reflection, and say what's happening in my life is because of the way that I'm thinking, and it doesn't let us point the finger and blame other people, and it doesn't let us desire that someone else is going to come in and fix our own lives. So I liked where you talked about, the pictures on the wall or whatever. It's like I want my paintings to have more joy, so that's what I'm gonna be working on.
Yes, no, and absolutely. That's the part of the equation too. Is that if we don't like a painting, it's our gallery. And we can take a painting down and put a new one up, right? We get to do that too. And so, yeah, science of mind sometimes doesn't feel real fun. And it's sometimes, and on the flip side, sometimes it feels super exciting because because I get to make those choices. So, yeah, absolutely. I get to change it. If I'm not happy with it, I get to change it. And sometimes that's not easy. And on the other side of that not easy is a lot of joy when it begins to work and when I see it working. And I get to be excited about that. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. Anybody else? Diane? Yes. Yes, we get to mirror those thoughts. Yes. And life will mirror those thoughts for us. Absolutely. Yes. Anybody else? All right, then let's pray. Hmm. I'll put this principle to work. We begin by remembering and recognizing that there is only one infinite mind, one infinite life, as love and truth and joy, as peace and poise and power, as health and wholeness, as every good thing that we would claim for ourselves right now. This universal power and presence moves in, through, around, and as each and every one of us here. And as I speak this word for myself, I speak it also for everyone here, everybody listening, everybody within the sound of my voice and beyond. Because as I speak this truth, I know it is true of each and every person at each and every point. And so, with every thought I think, every breath I take, I know that is the activity. This is the activity of the divine in me, as me, through me, right here, right now. And this is the truth of each and every person here. All is well and life is good. And as we speak this word, we act with intention. We allow our authentic being, our authentic nature to shine forth from within us. And as we do this, we know we draw to us our good, our infinite and ever present good, because we are in alignment with who and what we are. And we name our good as health and wholeness. We name our good as prosperity. We name our good as abundant good, knowing that every need is met, every desire fulfilled. And I speak this truth for anybody who has a desire, a need, something on their hearts and minds today. I know that that is already resolved within the mind and heart of God. That we are lifted up to see so very clearly the truth of our being. We embrace it. The shining light within us goes before us, clearing the way, guiding us, surrounding us, directing us to do and to be and to express that which is ours right here and right now. Divine intelligence guides us in wisdom to do and to be and to embrace the truth of our nature in every act and with every step. And so with gratitude going forward, we know that life is good and very good as each and every one of us. We hold this truth for ourselves, for our community, our state, our country, and our world. knowing that love indeed does point the way at each and every moment. And through the law, all is fulfilled for our good and the good of all concerned. And so we let it be, and so it is.